We're back with the latest in the breaking news on the brutal attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. A man breaking into their San Francisco home in the middle of the night, violently beating him with a hammer to the head multiple times, with the suspect trying to tie him up, quote, until Nancy got home. A motive is unclear, but a search of his social media reveals the man posted memes and right-wing conspiracy theories about COVID, the 2020 election, and the 1-6 Capitol attack. Threats against Speaker Pelosi and other lawmakers are at a record high, with U.S. Capitol Police opening nearly 2,000 cases in just the first 3 months of this year. The Brookings Institute reporting on the rise both of threats and actual violence, showing the dangerous levels of polarization, extremism, and radicalization that we face in America today.
I think it's reasonable and necessary to step back and ask the question, what sort of climate of violence has been created in this country?
This convergence of extremism and the potential for political violence is something that I think my former colleagues at the FBI and law enforcement across the country really is dealing with for the first time.
One of the marks of the end of a republic is the normalization of political violence. It just is.
Joining me now is presidential historian Michael Beschloss. You know, Michael, we just heard this talk about the normalization of political violence. Is this sadly where America finds itself now?
Yes, it is. Sadly, Katie. Nice to be with you, but terrible night because of what has happened. And here's a case where, you know, you and I look at the 45 presidents of the United States, all but about one have taken it seriously that part of their job was preserving public safety. If there was a danger of violence in a riot or somewhere else, they would try to calm it down. You know, once again, Donald Trump, as an ex-president and a president, is in a dark category of his own, in that from the beginning of that campaign in 2015, he encouraged violence at his rallies. He did this periodically as president of the United States. So in a way, what we're seeing today, you know, we have to find a little bit more about the attacker and his motives, and I don't want to get too far ahead of that. But, you know, speaking more generally, we're in a time where violence is licensed and encouraged by an ex-president of the United States. On top of the fact that January 6th occurred. Everything we've learned about January 6th, especially the last few months from the House committee, has suggested that a lot of the people who burst into the Capitol were doing that with the very big probability that they wanted to assassinate the Vice President Mike Pence, assassinate the Speaker Nancy Pelosi, assassinate other members of Congress, or have a hostage crisis. And then you combine all of that with the fact that Donald Trump, throughout his presidency, in the debates of 2020, and even more so since then, has connected with conspiracy theories, cults, domestic terrorists, whom he told to stand by and stand back during a famous, infamous presidential debate. So all this leads to the kind of thing that happened today. We don't know that it led to this incident yet, but we're in a climate where violence is encouraged, and an awful lot of people are encouraged by a former president to think the way you get your political political goals, which may be an authoritarian, even fascist society, is by encouraging violence. That's the climate we're in.
And you know, Michael, you're right. We don't have a clear motive for this particular case yet. However, NBC's Ben Collins, he tracks extremism and reports that online. Speaker Nancy Pelosi is the main villain, per the right. And I want to take a quick listen with you right now. Here's Speaker Pelosi worried about the safety of others on January 6th.
Absolutely.
They're breaking windows and going in, obviously ransacking our offices and all the rest of that. That's nothing. The concern we have about personal safety is it just transcends everything.
The concern is personal safety. It transcends everything, is what Nancy Pelosi says. I mean, Michael, January 6th is just another example of violence born from political hatred, with threats against members of Congress at an all-time high. As a presidential historian, have you seen anything like this in our history?
Yes, I have. Not personally, but I've studied the late 1850s before the Civil War when people were beating each other on the Senate floor in Congress. 1954, when terrorists who wanted Puerto Rican independence literally took guns into the House chamber and shot up the floor, shot at 4 members of Congress and maybe more. So this kind of thing has happened. But what's unusual about this time? Unlike those times, there is social media. So a sick person can look at social media and be aggravated by all sorts of conspiracy theories that are crazy. He or she can connect with other people who feel the same way, or he or she can use social media to aggravate others. And the result is we are in a situation such as we have never seen before in American history. We are before an election in which a substantial number of Donald Trump wannabes and others think the route to what they want in politics is violence. All I'm saying is we should all be absolutely vigilant the next 2 weeks and beyond the midterm election, because this is a time of maximum peril.
These are some dark times. Michael Beschloss, though, thank you for being here to share your insight and analysis. I appreciate you.